This is Japan's craziest apartment. This is Japan's craziest apartment, hands down. I usually like to jump right inside, but you have to see this building from the outside to truly appreciate it.
Alter,
at
was
scale.
ist das
Because
denn?
this here, that
Was
is
ist das
the
denn?
entire building.
Das ist einfach eine Mauer und du wohnst dann in dieser Mauer?
That's the whole
What
thing.
the
It is 5 floors
fuck?
of triangular goodness. It's essentially like
Das
living in
ist
a Tokyo.
crazy.
And just for a little bit of perspective, here is the width of the
Das
building's
ist
edge
crazy.
contrasted against me. It is quite a sight to see. Let's head inside and take a peek because it's not just a triangle from the outside, and it has a handful of small problems aside from the shape that make it a massive challenge to live in. The area is beautiful, by the way. It's at this 5-point crossing in the Nerima area of Tokyo, but our first major challenge today is going to be this stairwell. Aside from the lack of vertical clearance and proper width to be able to get through here, the stairs themselves are actually incredibly narrow and shallow.
Alter.
And I've got to hold on to this center pole basically the entire time I'm going up just for safety. And amazingly, every single unit here
Ich würde in
is
diesem Gang
occupied,
stecken
except the
bleiben.
one that we're checking out today. I have been waiting a year for this, and a real estate friend of mine who runs a YouTube channel of his own, I'll link it, hooked me up with the keys today, so huge gratitude.
Sehr lieb von dem Blindwitch.
Wow.
Disabled
Okay, so there's
village.
just about enough space to take off my shoes. There it opens into a kitchen area, and I have questions about the
the
shower area here. Mostly on account of this door height, but let's take a peek. So the door doesn't open. I close the door. Okay, close the door, and I basically take up the entire space. That's actually not a bad shower space.
Okay.
It's pretty much got everything that you need. It's got a shower right here, and it's got a bath that I'm really wondering if I would even fit in. Okay, so curiosity's getting the better of me, and I have to know if I would fit in the bath, and that is actually not a bad bath.
Das ist, boah,
Do
nee.
you think you could? The hermit I stayed with in the mountains had a smaller bath than this, and he had an entire house to himself, and as an added bonus, you've got a window. Then, no matter how small your place is, a bath with a window is always nice, and there's a little... Can you call this a kitchen space? Barely enough space to stand here, but you have a tiny sink with no counter, a single induction heater. This little fridge here, if you're lucky, might just be big enough to fit a single iPhone. It fits. We'll talk about this magical little device in a second, but the room itself does not look like this. It doesn't look like this either, or this, or even this. And punching the lens
Das ist
in
schon echt
only makes
krass.
it smaller and worse. The only way to really understand this place is to look at it from above. My hands can touch both sides. I have seen pictures of this place, but nothing compares to seeing this in person and just how tiny this room is. For perspective, if I were to be in here wearing my backpack, or if there were a sofa, there would barely be enough space to fit one, maybe 2 more people. What are the measurements? Now the floor plan for this says that you're getting over 11 square meters, but I'm wondering how much space do you really have?
Stehpart hier anders will.
Front to back, side to side, the widest
Ja,
space
da
that
geht
you're
nur noch
getting in any
stapeln.
direction is just over 2.5 meters. But it makes me wonder where I would put anything. Where would you put anything? Since we're in Japan, for example, instead of a bed, you'd most likely be using
Hallo,
a phone,
Nordpolar.
and then you would store it in this closet here. But
No,
do
wieso
you
bist du nicht
really
da?
even
Aber du
need
schreibst
the
doch grad.
closet?
Ah.
Or do you feel it's just taking up valuable space?
Guck, da kann noch jemand rein. Guck, da kannst du noch jemand reinstecken, da kann er da auch noch schlafen. Da kann man sogar zu dritt da sein. Oh mein Gott, Küchenpart.
In the apartment, it does have a hanging rack so you can
Hier
hang
wieder.
clothes
Nein,
on
sollst
it
du hier
and whatnot,
bleiben.
but it is rather large, and this place also has a lot of the other minor amenities that you would need. On this side of the room, you have a hookup for TV reception, but if you want to plug it in,
Da schläft Lisa drin.
plug for
Ja,
some
warum
reason
nicht?
is on the other side of the room, and the room
Tür
gives you
aufmachen,
a
Tür
total
zumachen
of 2 whole
und dich
plugs.
wieder
So
reinziehen.
you can plug 2 things in if you want to. And there's a hookup for telephone and internet here that should just never be touched. So we're gonna put that back, and we'll pretend that that's fine. And as pretty as it looks, none of the brick here is real. These are sponge bricks from the dollar store, and if you look real carefully,
schmore
this
laut.
is actually brick wallpaper. But you also do have an in-window air conditioner. This style of air conditioner is fairly rare in Japan. They're usually mounted up top.
Nein, ich habe die Tür offen gelassen, wieder reingezogen, dann zugemacht. Und jetzt abgeschlossen und jetzt eine Decke über Nordpolar geworfen und jetzt...
Wi-Fi modules are everywhere. The biggest problem with this place so far is just the noise. It's actually taken me a really long time to shoot this because this is one of the main streets of this area, and it is just filled with bikes and trucks and garbage trucks and stuff going through it all hours. This is probably so far the single noisiest apartment that I've had the opportunity to experience in Japan. Mind you, some people just aren't that bothered by the noise, especially considering the fact that the rent here is unbelievably cheap at only about 40,000 yen per month. I also love how both of the windows and balconies have these I can't fit through this window. Have these little cover
I
don't know what it's for. It's not actually covered by anything, but it's wonderful. And since we're on the outside edge of Tokyo, a lot of the buildings out here are much lower and the view is quite nice. At least it is today. And these here look like you'd be able to hang poles on them for your laundry. But I'm very stuck, but you may have also noticed that there's no toilet inside the apartment. I was actually warned
Ich habe mich schon gewundert, wo ist denn die Toilette eigentlich?
Not to approach any of the residents of this building. We'll cover that in a second. And I also wanted to show you this, which is apparently a portable washing machine, which can wash up to 1 t-shirt or 3 pairs of socks, maybe 4 if you're lucky. Didn't even know stuff like that existed, learning every day. The toilet is actually out here. You've actually got to go to the front door, put your shoes back on, and then your toilet is going to be right here. Now, luckily, each floor or unit does have their own toilet space.
Stell dir vor, du hast so richtig Durchfall und musst dann noch diese Stufen dann nach oben gehen, um zu dieser Toilette zu kommen. Oh mein Gott, das war's.
Shared toilet situation.
Das war's einfach.
Here's what it looks like. Now the door itself doesn't even open all the way. This
einfach am Klo stecken geblieben. Einfach im Klo. Da kommst du nie wieder hoch.
Inside may be a challenge for some people, and let's watch the claustrophobics freak out when we close the door. That is the entire toilet space. And with limited ventilation, it does get very hot in here. It's not the kind of place that you would want to be in the depths of summer. But
das ist wirklich klein, ey. Wie so ein Kerker.
But as for those warnings that I got, now I've only ever gotten a warning like this one time before, and it was when I shot a video about a $100 apartment here in Tokyo, and I was recommended just not to approach the residents because they may not be friendly, welcoming, or even want to talk. And here I wasn't really given a reason. They were like, it's probably a good idea if you don't approach the residents. Mind you, this building itself is actually fairly well known. The sign is kind of blocked right now, but it's called the Sankaku Biru, or Triangle. It's literally called the Triangle Building. So my assumption was that they've just gotten too much media attention because it is a fairly well-known building. But when I asked, they were like, no, that's not why. You just probably shouldn't do it. I'm so curious. What?
So sind die Klos auf der Bandebene? Welche Klos?
Why should I not approach the residents? Alright, I actually just made my way up to the 5th floor, and the door here is off of its hinges, and it seems like the apartment inside has been completely...
Ich glaub, die Bandebene Luxussachen kriegen. Die kriegen keinen Grundbedarf in der Bandebene. Oh, what the fuck? Oh Gott, okay.
That is wild, and it's a little bit unfortunate because this seems to be the only unit that actually has a balcony as well. That is trashed. That's too bad. But would you live here? Would you live in this tiny
nur Kakteen zum Hintern abwischen. Oder aus Australien diese komischen Blätter, wo du richtig Ausschlag kriegst, wenn du es nur berührst. Das kriegen die in der Bandebene, ja. Aber in Australien würde ich eher das töten. Also. Die Bandebene ist in Australien.
Anyway, and I didn't really own anything since it was my first year in Japan. So yes, I would 100% live here. But what about you? I was leaving and looked back, and if you take a look at...
Da ist schon Harry Potter verfolgt uns. Gerade in dem anderen Video, da ist auch schon der Harry
The
Potter.
plot of land that it's on. They've taken this really narrow plot of land and just squeezed a ton of real estate right into this tiny little space. Like they even have their own parking space. Japan, you always impress me with how you utilize your land. That's amazing. Okay, going down these stairs feels 10 times more dangerous than going up. This does not feel safe. Oh, I nailed my head going in. Oh, did the same thing like 6 times on the stairs. Oh my god, it got really hot in here while I was shooting that and I wasn't expecting it and I'm just...
Herkuleskraut nehmen.
Need the air
Er ist
conditioner
einfacher
now.
zu besorgen bestimmt, oder? Meistens bis nach Australien. Uiuiui. Und ich kenne kleine Toiletten in Japan. Fast 2 Meter groß. Treppe betrunken.